Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. We're reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 4, Chapter 14, the story of King Vena, verse 33. Yes. Govainam parichakshita Venam ekam rite shubham Prapta idrisham aishvaryam Yat anugraha bhajanaha. Govainam parichakshita Venam ekam rite shubham Prapta idrisham aishvaryam Yatanugraha bhajanaha. Venam parichakshita Venam ekavrite shubham Prapta idrisham aishvaryam Graha bhajana. Govainam parichakshita Venam ekam rite shubham Prapta idrisham aishvaryam Yatanugraha bhajana. Govainam parichakshita Venam ekam rite shubham Prapta idrisham aishvaryam Yatanugraha bhajana. Govainam parichakshita Amek Shubham Aishvaryam Yatanugraha bhajana. Kaha Hu Va Indeed Enam the Lord Parichakshita would blaspheme. Venam King Vena Ekam alone Rite but for Ashubham inauspicious Prapta having obtained Idrisham like this Aishvaryam opulence Yat whose Anugraha mercy Bhajanaha receiving. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace by Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. But for King Vena, who is simply inauspicious, who would blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy one is awarded all kinds of fortune and opulence. Purport. When human society, individually or collectively, becomes godless and blasphemes the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is certainly destined for ruination. Such a civilization invites all kinds of bad fortune due to not appreciating the mercy of the Lord. Ko vainam parichakshita venam ekam rite shubham prapta idrisham aishwaryam yat anugraha bhajana. But for King Vena, who is simply inauspicious, who will blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy one is awarded all kinds of fortune and opulence. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langati grimyat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaputile Shimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. When I read this, the last sentence of the purport, such a civilization invites all kinds of bad fortune due to not appreciating the mercy of the Lord. I remember in my country, I saw once we were in a place, one of our bases for Sankirtan, for book distribution, and it was an apartment building, and on the front door, it was written, there was a note, keep the door closed, don't invite thieves. So the door is wide open, it's an open invitation, come and steal for all these bad elements. So in the same way, civilization which ignores God, Krishna, invites all kinds of bad fortune. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Ye tam mam prapadyante tam stathaiva bhajamyaham. Mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. As people surrender to me, Krishna says, as living entities surrender to me, in the same way, I reciprocate. Everyone follows my path in all manushya partha sarvashaha, in all circumstances. So that means that everyone follows Krishna's path, even the materialistic people. They are unknowingly, maybe unconsciously, following Krishna's path. There is only one path. It leads either towards Krishna, or if you want to turn your back to Krishna, then you can move away from Krishna. Still, this is Krishna's path. That means, also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mata spritir jnanam apohanam cha. By me come remembrance and memory. So even if you want to forget about Krishna, still there are certain ways that you can forget about Krishna. And these ways, these methods are, again, guess what? They are prescribed by Krishna. All these different philosophies, different isms that Srila Prabhupada speaks often about, different ways to forget about Krishna. And we have what is called Shat Darshanas, for example. These are the 6 Vedic schools of thought. There are, in Indian philosophy, there are 2 major groups of different philosophies. They are called Astika. Astika means it is so. It means Vedas are right. Astika. And these are known as Saddarshanas. There are 6 Vedic schools. And there are also people who belong to the other category called Nastika, and that means this is not so. These are people who don't believe in the Vedas. They reject the Vedas. And these are the Buddhists, the Jains, the Charvaka, Muni and his followers. And even these 6 schools of Vedic philosophy, there, although in the beginning of previous ages, there were just different departments of Vedic knowledge, of Vedic study. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, and Uttara Mimamsa. These are the 6 schools. Gradually, so they were just explaining different aspects of Vedic knowledge. Like Nyaya explains the logic, what is the proper way of thinking and of reasoning. By the way, according to Ayurveda, if you want to be healthy, you should study logic. You know? Because then you learn how to think logically. Then when the mind thinks logically, then he's peaceful. When the mind is peaceful, then the body is healthy. So, Nyaya, logic, how to think properly. Then Vaisheshika, that means the atomic theory, teaches that everything is built by atoms. So if you analyze the reality in this way, then gradually you lose your attraction to this material reality. It's like with the material body. It looks very attractive from outside, but if you start analyzing it, then it tends to lose attraction. Hair may be very attractive if you have a good, nice, beautiful hair like Krishna has. But then when you separate the hair from the body, then it tends to not be so attractive anymore. So in this way, if you analyze everything, then the idea is to attain liberation. Then you lose your attraction. You think properly, then you see that everything is just built of atoms. And then the next one, Sankhya, explains how the different elements of Prakriti became manifest. It analyzes in great detail the material nature with the same goal, to attain liberation, to lose our attraction, to destroy our attraction to matter, which is the cause of misfortune. And then the next one, Yoga, takes it one step further. It teaches how, based on the philosophy of Sankhya, you start to meditate. The yoga is the first one amongst the 6, which actually accounts about the mind, for the mind. The first 3, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and Sankhya, they just deal with intelligence. And the idea is, you understand that this is all Maya, it's all illusion, and then you disconnect, you disentangle yourself from this illusion, and then you attain liberation. But then yoga starts to deal with the mind, because it is not just a matter of intelligence. We have to convince also our mind that this is Maya. And because this is where we live, actually, we live inside our mind. And then yoga teaches how to control the mind, how to meditate, how to focus the mind. And there are different schools of this yoga system. Some are more materialistic, more impersonal. It's a general impersonal system, although there is a possibility that you can become a devotee also. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatanantaratmana shadavan bhajite yamam samyok tattamo mataha. From all kinds of yogis, the greatest yogi is the one who always abides with great love in me, serves me with great love and affection. So then the next one is we call this Karma Mimamsa, Karma Mimamsa or Purva Mimamsa. And this is the first amongst these 6 schools which tries to account for the whole body of Vedic knowledge. The first 4, they just they pull quotes from different shastras when this quote suits their idea. They have some idea how to present the Vedic knowledge, and they pick and choose. But Karma Mimamsa is the first one which tries to systematically to analyze the whole body of scripture. And their conclusion is materialistic. So they say that the goal of life is to enjoy the greatest possible material happiness that the universe can provide. And even if you, they know, of course, that the material happiness is temporary. So when you go to heaven and then enjoy there, and then you have to come back to this planet, they say, yes, it is temporary, but when you come here, you will take birth in a pious Brahmana family. You'll be engaged again in Vedic sacrifice, in pious work, and you'll go again to heaven. So it is eternal. You go to heaven. It's like, imagine you have a very good job. You work for 2 weeks somewhere, and then you can enjoy the whole year. You get enough money to go for a vacation, the best possible resort, and stay there for a whole year, just for two weeks of work. This is the Karma Mimamsa's idea about reality. And the school well, there is of course a problem with this idea, and this problem is described in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna. The Supreme Lord explains that in the material world, every endeavor is covered by mistakes, just like every fire is covered by smoke. So it's a matter of time when you make a mistake. And the example given is King Nriga, who was very, very pious king. But for one small mistake, and it was not even a mistake if we think about it, he was not wrong. It just how happened by misfortune. He was put in a body of a lizard. So then our school that we belong to is called Vedanta. And inside this Vedanta tradition, again, there are 6 other schools inside Vedanta. So these are the 4 sampradayas. It's us and the Mayavadis. So we can say that so this is how it started. There were just different departments of Vedic knowledge, but in due course of time, especially in Kali Yuga, the leaders and the proponents of these systems, they started quarreling, and they started arguing. They forgot that they have a common goal, although still the common goal is liberation. But they perceive this common goal in different way, and since all of them are basically impersonalists, then there was a conflict. And therefore we can say that these 6 systems of philosophy, they are just different ways how he has given the way, how we can forget about me. And they are just overemphasizing different aspects of the original bhakti philosophy. The logicians, they overemphasize logic as the means, and then Sankhya, they overemphasize the aspect of analyzing the material nature, the evolutes of Prakriti. And then yoga overemphasizes taking care of the body and concentrating the mind in one spot, and then with impersonal goal, of course. And then Karma Mimamsa overemphasizes the pious work, etc. So these are just different ways how we can forget about Krishna. Still, all these ways are given by Krishna himself. Krishna just facilitates the different living entities according to their desires. So here the problem with King Vena is that he is ungrateful. And the sages are wondering, how is it possible that why would someone blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy one is awarded all kinds of fortune and opulence? Why would you do that? So this ungratefulness, another way of defining this ungratefulness is being Krishna unconscious. You decide to be unconscious about Krishna, to ignore Krishna. To be conscious of Krishna means, one of the definitions given in 4th canto is to see the universe the way Krishna sees the universe. So you are conscious that this is Krishna's universe and belongs to Krishna. And Krishna unconsciousness means you ignore Krishna and you try to take Krishna's position. And this is also opposed to the very definition of human form of life, because the human form of life is supposed to cultivate gratefulness and to use this human form of life to advance in Krishna consciousness. If you don't use it in this way, you defy the very purpose of being a human being. This human form of life, as explained by Rishabhadev in 5th canto, is meant for divine austerity, to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to experience spiritual bliss, eternal spiritual bliss. Therefore, when somebody is ungrateful, like in this case, this is the ultimate ungratefulness of King Vena, then he cannot keep his human form of life. There is a certain standard to be a human being, and being grateful is part of it. We're supposed to be acknowledging the superior persons, our superiors, our parents, our teachers, the senior devotees, our founder Acharya, etc., and ultimately Krishna. And if we don't do this, then we cannot keep our human form of life. In the Dharma Shastras, it is described how if you criticize your guru, then if you're right, no, if you're wrong, if you criticize your guru for something that is not actually, didn't actually happen, then you become next life something like, I don't remember, but a jackal or something. And if you criticize him and you are right, then you become a snake, serpent in next life. So there is no big difference, even if you're right, so to speak. So this is, we can say, the standard for a human being. We should cultivate these divine qualities, and being grateful is very important. Very culture, therefore, emphasizes always gratefulness and respect, because this is how we progress in life. Even if we are trying to be practical, this is how you progress in life. This is how you advance in life. By appreciating and pleasing the seniors, and they in turn, they will shower blessings, heartfelt blessings on you. This is how the tradition is kept alive. And if this is not done, if we are not grateful, if we are not appreciative, then in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Sakale meha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. The knowledge will be lost, because just like again in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that tad vidi pranipatana pariprashnena sevaya upadakshyanti te gyaninas tattvadarshinaha. You have to approach the guru, the senior, the superior person, with proper attitude. Then he will give mercy. But if the attitude is not proper, then you're not qualified to receive mercy. Then the mercy will not come. And then what will happen? The whole tradition will be gradually lost in time, because there is no transmission of knowledge. This is the definition of Diksha. Diksha means transmission of transcendental knowledge. So if this is not happening, then gradually everybody will degrade. Because again, Dharma Shastra explains that a Brahmana, he would rather die with his knowledge than to give the knowledge to an unqualified person. And also, Manu also mentions that for a girl, it is better that she never gets married and she remains at her father's house, rather than get married to an unqualified person. So it's better. So therefore, these divine qualities should be cultivated. And to be grateful, it's connected with humility. If you are humble, then you can be grateful. If you're proud, then it's very difficult to be grateful, because then you think, well, actually, I deserve not only this, but I deserve much more than this. I remember in my life, I had a phase when I was a child, when I was small. In the beginning, everything was very good, but then when I hit puberty, I started to develop some kind of I was not happy with the contribution of my parents in my life. I had everything that I needed, even more. But because I was comparing myself to other people, and they had more, so I was demanding, oh, why we don't have this and that? So this is very immature, stupid, foolish mentality. And it comes from being proud. You think you deserve more. So if you develop humility, then you naturally will be grateful even for a smallest favor that somebody shows to you. You'll be grateful. An example for this, for example, in our devotional life, we have many devotees we are obliged to. And we should, like my guru, he says, we should never let them forget how we are grateful to them and what they did for us. We should never forget this. We should never let these devotees forget with what they have done for us. So he gives the example when he came first time to the temple of the Hare Krishna. I believe it was here in Brooklyn, Henry Street, I believe. Then he was welcomed at the front door by a devotee who was very happy to see him. And this devotee said, welcome, brother, welcome. You have come to the right place. So this was the welcome. And then my guru says, every time I see this devotee, now like 40, 50 years later, I always remind him, Prabhuji, you remember when I came first time, how you very nicely greeted me? So in the same way, whatever somebody has done for us, especially the devotees, we should try to be grateful and to say and to express our gratitude. Another thing is that we have been cultivated by different devotees, and they helped us, our Shiksha gurus, senior devotees. And sometimes when we advance a little bit in bhakti and then we accept Diksha, we finally take shelter in the lotus feet of our guru, then sometimes devotees forget about all these other devotees that help them to reach this stage. So now it's me and my guru, and all of you, I can from now on safely ignore you. I don't owe you anything. Now it's finally myself and my guru. And this is, first of all, this is illusion. It's bad for the person who thinks like this. But also, it is possible that these devotees, that they spent so much time and endeavor to nourish the devotion in this young devotee and to cultivate him, it is possible that they will become discouraged over time. If that's what happens in your life, you spend hours distributing books on the street, then some people will become interested, then they come to the temple and you spend years cultivating them, and then they get a guru and say, okay, thank you very much, I don't need you anymore. You go back on the street, find somebody else and do again the same thing. It is possible that they will become discouraged gradually. So in our society, we should pay attention to this and be a little bit more mature, appreciate preachers, not just our Diksha Gurus, but our Shiksha Gurus also, because in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned that the Shiksha Guru and the Diksha Guru, they should be equally respected. And this requires maturity. And neophyte devotees, they tend to respect only their Diksha Gurus. So, if we are, so therefore the Vedic culture, again, broadens the range of persons we should be grateful. We know the famous example Srila Prabhupada gives. We have 7 mothers. In the West, we barely acknowledge one mother. But actually, we have 7 mothers. That means we have 7 times more persons that we should be especially grateful and respectful to. This broadens and purifies and expands, develops our consciousness. Also, Srila Prabhupada explains that in one conversation that cow killing is again ungratefulness. It's act of you are very grossly ungrateful because you took the milk from the cow, from the mother cow, one of the mothers, then you slaughter your mother. So if we are ungrateful, then we'll lose the mercy. Just like Srila Prabhupada gives the example, if the mother gives food to the child, different items, and the child just wastes them day after day, then the mother will gradually reduce the gifts that she's giving, because the child doesn't properly take care of them, doesn't appreciate, doesn't take care. That's what happens in our life. You go outside on the street and you see some people are, we ourselves including, we are lacking in so many aspects of life. Some people are very poor, some people are uneducated, some people are this or that. Well, this is because they haven't taken proper care of all these facilities in previous lives. Where was this? Somewhere in Niti Chanakya. He says that the beggar on the street who comes to you and he's begging, please give me something to eat. So this is, what was that? This will happen to you in future if you are uncharitable. If you don't give in charity, this is the future that awaits you. You become a beggar on the street because you haven't spent the facilities given by the Lord, Ishvavasamidam Sarvam, properly. And the charity, we know the best charity is to sacrifice our life for Prabhupada's mission, and everything that we have should be used for advancement in Krishna consciousness. So these were some thoughts on this rather short report by Srila Prabhupada. If you have questions or comments? Yes? Okay, Mike.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to make some comments. One thing you mentioned was respecting superiors and authority. Sometimes there's abuse, so I'd also argue it's important to understand that we must also be careful who we're taking guidance from. Similarly, you also brought up how devotees can sometimes, or at least aspiring devotees can become discouraged, and that we should pay attention to this. So I appreciated that, and I agree with that. I think all too often, this can come up, and it's really important that we nourish devotees, both further along in the path, but also beginning devotees. We're all beginning, but also I was in a training the other day where they mentioned that a major part of faith is family. So I just wanted to mention, family is also taken in the sense of community. So I think that's also a big part of that. And lastly, you brought up that women who are unmarried should be under the protection of the father. So I think in today's society, culture, we assume every woman wants to get married, and this can actually be quite harmful as we don't always offer them the protection that is needed. So I'm curious of your thoughts on that.
Okay, so there are comments and questions at the end. Protection of women. Srila Prabhupada explains that, he's quoting Manu, that women, they must be protected in all stages of life. So protection, some people nowadays, they misunderstand this protection. They think it's exploitation. But actually it's meant for the protection of women. And in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna explains what happens when women are not protected. They mingle with unqualified persons, and then the result is a Varna Shankara. So we as society, we should protect. There are 5 categories given by Shastra. Women, children, old people, brahmanas, and cows. They should be especially protected. The king protects everyone, pragya, but especially these 5 categories. So I cannot go into detail in the current situation in New York City, in the Western world. What will that protection look like? It's above my qualification to speak on this topic. I can only say the general things that we all know from Shastra. But application of this general principle requires maturity, deep realizations, and certain skills also. That's what I can say about this. Somebody else wants to say something? Mataji.
For the class. So you were going to list the 6 Sat Darshinas. I only caught 5 of them. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purvamimamsa, and what was the 5th one?
And the 5th one is Uttara Mimamsa.
Uttara Mimamsa.
Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta.
And what is the attitude of Uttara Mimamsa?
Vedanta, that's our school.
What is it?
That's our school. We belong to Vedanta.
Oh, wow.
So we are Bhakti Vedantis. And inside Vedanta, Veda means, okay, so Purva Mimamsa or Karma Mimamsa means the preliminary, Purva means preliminary or initial. Mimamsa means deliberation or study. So this is the preliminary study of the Vedas. And as I mentioned, their Acharya is Jaimini. Well, I didn't mention that, but Jaimini, by the way, is the speaker of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So he's pure devotee, although he presents this knowledge in a certain way. He has some service given by the Lord, obviously. So, Uttaramimamsa presents the Vedic knowledge as pious work for pious sense gratification. And they say this is the ultimate conclusion of the Vedas. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaka vedavatarata parta nanyata stiti gaminaha kamatmana svarga param janma karma palapradam. Thank you. Kriya vishesha bahulam bogeshvara gatim prati bogeshvara prasaktanam taya pakrita chetasam vevasyatmika avir samadao navidyate. So the idea of these verses is that because they have this strong desire to enjoy piously, therefore they say that this is the conclusion of the Veda. They say there is nothing higher in the Veda than pious sense enjoyment. And Vedanta, which means Uttaramimamsa, that means the final study or the final conclusion of the Veda, and Veda Anta means the end of knowledge, that means the final conclusion of the Vedas. Vedanta disagrees with this. According to Vedanta, according to our school, pious sense enjoyment is not the ultimate result, the ultimate conclusion of the Veda. Rather, it is liberation from material suffering. So this is our school. And we, liberation, svaropena vivastitihi, we accept liberation as being re-established in our original position in Krishna's pastimes. This is liberation. Because according to Mayava, this liberation is something else.
Beautiful.
And Srila Prabhupada, by the way, he writes that the qualification to sit on Vyasasan and to speak Krishna Katha is not to speak very sweet pastimes of Radha and Krishna from Golaka Vrindavana. He doesn't say that. The qualification is to be able to present and to refute to refute these 6 schools of Vedic philosophy and to present the point of view of Vyasadeva, of Vedanta. So this is the qualification. We should study these philosophies and know their conclusion and know how to defeat them.
Beautiful insights.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
One more question. Of the 6 schools, would you say the most pervasive, this is my speculative answer, of the 6 schools, the one that is most pervasive in the population is Purva Vimamsa? Because it's all about material enjoyment.
Yes, pious sense enjoyment. The other one, which is very pervasive, is Mayavad.
That's
Impersonalism. Well, all of them, there are different types of impersonalists. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, they're all impersonal. Because their idea, yoga also, their idea of liberation is impersonal liberation.
So these first 3 are Mayavadi, you're saying?
I would say Brahmavadis, because Mayavadis are offensive. They are more like just impersonalists.
And the last 3 are personal.
No. Yoga is also impersonal. Could be personal, but mostly they're just... And the acharyas explained that those type of people who they, at one point they can realize Paramatma, they see the Lord in the heart, still they want to merge with the Lord. They are even more degraded than those who try to merge in Brahmajyoti, because they see the Lord. And instead of surrendering to Him, they still want to maintain their idea, I want to become one with the Lord. So they are even more degraded than the Mayavadis who just want to merge with the Brahmajyoti. That's the idea. And the Karma Mimamsas, they don't want liberation. They want sense enjoyment. So you can say they are karmis, and the first 4 are jnanis. The fifth is karma, and Vedanta is bhakti. Supposed to be bhakti.
That helps me to organize it. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Something else? Grantherat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the same devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.